Today we're going to work on our weekly reader magazine. See if you can find this one, Mo Doesn't Give Up. If you need to pause the video for a moment and go get it, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead, so just play again when you're ready. If you look at the very front page, it says Mo Willems is an author and illustrator. He has made more than 60 books. How does he do it? Open up to the inside. Good work, Mo. How does Mo make a book? He has great work habits. Number 1, Mo takes his time. Mo made up the characters Elephant and Piggy. It took him a long time. He wanted 2 animals that were just right together. He drew a lot of pictures. He wrote down a lot of ideas. He did not rush. Finally, he had it. Elephant and Piggy were the perfect pair. Number 2, Mo knows mistakes are okay. Mo's books aren't perfect on the first try. He makes mistakes. That's okay. A pencil has an eraser for a reason, he says. You can erase a mistake and try again. Mo makes a lot of changes on each book. I make many drafts, he says. Here's a draft and the final page from his book, A Big Guy Took My Ball. So if you look at the pictures, it shows a draft. That's something he's working on. We've talked about this in writing, how a sketch is just a quick picture. It doesn't have to be perfect and it doesn't have all the details, but it just reminds you of what you should be working on. And he writes down some words up there to tell about his idea for that page. And then down here is his final page, how it looks when he's made the pictures look the way they want and the words say the things that he wants them to say. So it's okay if you are working on a project, either drawing a picture or writing words or painting or whatever you're working on, if you make mistakes and then you go back and fix them. Or if you start something and then you change your mind and you want to make it better. We go over and look up top at number 3. Mo doesn't give up. Mo wasn't always a famous author. His first book was Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. Mo sent it to book companies. No one wanted it. He didn't give up. He thought his book was good. Finally, after 2 years, someone published it. And publish means made it into a book that you can get at the library or at the bookstore. So for 2 years, people kept telling him no, they didn't want to make his story into a book, and finally someone did. And if you've ever heard his books before about Pigeon, you might like them, and you can see that it won an award for being a good book. Number 4, Mo believes in himself. Mo thinks his stories are good. He thinks your stories are good too. He says that the stories you write are just as important as the ones he writes. There's no difference between what a first grader is doing and what I'm doing, he says.
Meet Mo Willems.
Hello, my name is Mo Willems, and I make books. That means I write them, I draw them, I think about them, and hopefully you'll read them. I've been really lucky in my career. I get to do all kinds of interesting things. I've made animated films, I've written for television, I've written plays, I've had exhibits, but the thing that I love the most are books. And this is why I love books, because everything in a picture book is unique. Every picture book creator has their own style. They've got their own thing to say, their own way of saying it.
Hey Mo, how do you get ideas?
So I'm always thinking of ideas, and often they come when I don't expect them. I'm walking the dog, or I'm having a conversation or something, and suddenly this tiny seed speaks out and says, hey, maybe there's something here. So I go and I try and remember that seed, and I go to my notebook. and I put it in my notebook and I play with it and I sort of turn it around and stretch it and take that idea, that little seed, and put it into different positions. And over the years, I have got tons of notebooks of ideas that I can then come back to and see if maybe one seed and another seed, if I put them together, I can make something new or something special.
How do the words in your books show what characters are feeling?
When I make a book, I see the words as a type of illustration. So when a character is really excited, really angry, I make sure that the words are really big. Or maybe I change their color or I change their direction. And if a character is really sad or they're whispering, I make those letters really, really small. Because what I am is I am a director and you are my performer. I am trying to direct you to read the stories in the way that I intended. And so if I slant all the letters, make them metallic, then you'll read them differently. If I make them super bold, you'll read them heavier. All those different things are techniques that I use so that I can manipulate you into doing what I want.
Do you ever make mistakes?
Do I ever make mistakes? Yeah, absolutely. I make mistakes all the time. A matter of fact, part of my job is to make mistakes. So that every now and then, one of those mistakes has a germ of something I wouldn't have thought of, and it becomes something great. Making mistakes is the most important of the process.
Do you make your books all by yourself?
When you are an author-illustrator, when you are writing and drawing something, it is, in a sense, yours. You've created it. But there's always somebody helping you. There's my kid. There's my wife. There's my editor. There's my agent. There are my friends who are also writers. Sometimes we share each other's work and we give each other advice. So even if it just has my name on the cover, that doesn't mean that I'm the only person who was involved with that story.
How long does it take you to make a book?
So whatever book I'm working on right now, the ideas that I'm having, that I'm sharing with my editor, the sketches that I'm making, if you're in second grade right now, the soonest that that book would be finished, you would be in fourth grade. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of writing. It takes a lot of drawing. So the process takes years. Finishing a book is fun. It's cool. But it takes a while before the book is made because it has to go to the printer and there's technical stuff that has to happen. And then finally one day you get a box in the mail and there's the final book and it's in your hands and man, that feels really cool. But I tell you, for me, what feels the coolest is if I walk into a bookshop or I walk into a library or I'm just somewhere on the street and there's a real life kid reading one of my books and laughing. That is amazing. That is the best experience that I have ever had in my professional life.
Hey Mo, can kids be writers too?
Here's the thing. If you like to write, and you like to draw, and you like to make stories, you are a writer, you are an illustrator right now. That means that you have something to say, you have something to share. There's an audience out there that wants to hear what is uniquely you, what matters to you. And this is the time, while everybody else is running around or at recess or playing video games or doing whatever, for you to be able to sit down and discover how to communicate your you-ness to the world outside. So I'm going to speak just to you right now. That illustrator, that cartoonist who's sitting there watching this with all the other classmates or at home or whatever you're doing, take your time. The days you don't feel like drawing, draw those days anyway, because there's something special in you that's going to come out of your pen or out of your pencil, and it's going to change the world.
Okay, so let's see what our game is today.
Sort the books. Sort each book. Is it fiction or nonfiction?
So fiction over here is make pretend or not real. Nonfiction over here is real true books, things about facts. So we've got two books up here, Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus and Birds. Now, you may have heard Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus before, but even if you haven't, we can take the clues that are on the front of the book and use it to help us decide, are these true books or are they make pretend stories? So over here, Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, we can see a pigeon, but he's blue, and he's got this extra long neck, and it looks like words are coming. Maybe he's not saying those words, but somebody else is. So we get some clues right there that this is not about a real pigeon. So we would bring this book maybe down here for not real. Over here, we see a book called Birds, and we see a photograph, a real picture taken with a camera of an eagle. This gives me a clue that this tells real true facts about eagles. This book is called Ducklings. Ducklings is the word for baby ducks, and we see a picture of a real baby duck on the front. This one is The Duckling Gets a Cookie, and here we see a drawing of a baby duck holding a whole cookie in its mouth, and once again the blue pigeon is talking. So think about our clues there of which one is nonfiction and which one is fiction. I'm going to put this one as our true story and this one as our make pretend story. Farm animals, and here's a picture of a pig, maybe a horse, a sheep. It's kind of hard for me to see that. Ducks, I'm not sure if that's a cow up top. Over here is a pig wearing a chef's hat and holding a bowl, and it says, I really like slop. So think about it, use your clues. We're going to bring this story to the make pretend or the fiction side, and this story over to the real true nonfiction side. A big guy took my ball. And there we've got an elephant with another character, maybe a pig on his head, elephant and piggy. I don't think in real life those two animals would be hanging out together. On this side, elephants, and here is a picture of a real elephant. So let's bring this one to fiction and this one to nonfiction. Good, it looks like we got them. Okay, flip your weekly reader over to the back. Let's answer our questions. It says, write the titles in order. Look at the Mo Willems books below. Type or write the titles in ABC order on the lines. We did the first one for you. So the titles are the names of the stories. Elephants Cannot Dance, Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, Goldilocks and the Three Dinosaurs, I think it says. Who is the mystery reader? Knuffle Bunny. Leonardo, Terrible Monster, I think is what it says. So when we do ABC order, all we need to do is look at the first letter of each one. So this one starts with an E. This one starts with a D. This one starts with a G. This one starts with a W. This one starts with a K. Even though it's a silent K, we only hear the end. The K is still there. And this one starts with an L. When we do ABC order, we're going to go through the letters of the alphabet. A, B, C, D. Don't let the pigeon drive the bus starts with a D, and they've already put it on the line for us. So after D in the alphabet comes E. Do any of our titles start with the letter E? Yes, elephants cannot dance starts with E. So down here for on line number 2, you can write, and I'm going to type elephants. We'll just write the first word of each one on the line so we don't have to try to squeeze everything in. So go ahead and pause if you need to write it there. I'm going to keep going. A, B, C, D, E, F. No F. G. Here's one that starts with G. Goldilocks. So down here for number 3, Goldilocks is going to go there. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. No. I, J, K. Here's K for Knuffle Bunny. There's Knuffle Bunny. I think if for the other ones, because I didn't type the whole thing, it didn't give us a check mark, but that's okay. So we're up to K. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. Leonardo starts with L. So down here we are going to write that first word. And then we're moving on. L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W. Who is the mystery reader? Starts with a W. Okay, so if you are writing these, you can always pause the video and go ahead and copy them down if you need more time. I'm going to go back. It shows us a little bit more about some Mo Willems characters. This one is all about Elephant and Piggy.
All About Elephant and Piggy with Mo Willems.
Hi, my name is Mo Willems, and I make books. Elephant and Piggy are the first characters that I purposely designed to be in a series. I knew I was going to make more than one Elephant and Piggy book, and so that meant I had to cast my main characters, like you cast a TV show. Well, Elephant came first. I knew who Elephant was. I had been drawing Elephant Gerald for about a year. Every night when we have dinner, we draw on the dining room table on a piece of paper. And so this elephant had come up. I had a sense of its personality. But I knew that Elephant Gerald alone would not be worth reading, that it wouldn't be exciting. I knew that Elephant Gerald needed a partner. So I held open auditions. I had a giraffe, I had muskrats, I had all these different animals come in to see if they would make a good partner for Elephant Gerald. And man, it was hard. I spent a long time auditioning and I just couldn't find the right character. I think I ended up with like a muskrat with a helmet at one point, but they didn't get along. They weren't best friends. And then one day, Piggy showed up and I knew it immediately and I cast Piggy. And then only then did I start thinking about writing the stories that Elephant and Piggy would be in. Elephant and Piggy are best friends, and I could show anything in their life. I made 25 books. I could have showed anything. I could have showed them eating breakfast. I could have showed them going to the movies. But what I chose to do in every single book is to show these two best friends almost losing their friendship, miscommunicating, and suddenly realizing, oh man, I goofed, and then finding a way to rebuild their friendship together. So They're not the best friends because they all love the same things. They're not the best friends because they do the same things. They're not the best friends because they're famous. They're the best friends because whenever their friendship is about to fall apart, they do their level best to find a way to build it back together. So my job for 25 books was to make life miserable for them, was to stick them in the worst possible situations so that they almost lost their friends.
Okay, and then he does one more for us all about Pigeon. So if you like the Pigeon books, this will tell you about Pigeon.
All About Pigeon with Mo Willems.
Hi, my name is Mo Willems, and I make books. Sometimes I hear kids say to me, I want to be a writer. And my answer to that is, you are a writer already. If you're writing, you're a writer. What you're really saying is, I want to get published. A lot of people want to get published. It takes a long time. My first book, we spent 5 years showing Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus to publishers. And we showed it to every single editor in all the publishing houses. Every single one of them said the same thing. Well, that book is unusual. Until finally we found an editor who said the most magical thing possible. That book is unusual. And unusual to this editor was cool. It wasn't bad. And so this editor, she decided to publish the book. And now I get to make books. Sometimes the idea for a book is different than what you think the book is about. So I have this pigeon book called The Pigeon Has to Go to School. And when you first think about it, you think, oh, Mo just thought about pigeon and school and put them together. But really what I was thinking about is uncertainty. Everybody has a time in their life when they have to do something and they don't know how it's going to go. And there's no way to get out of it. So everybody freaks out a little bit. I have to do this thing. I don't want to do it. What's it going to be like? I've never experienced it. What if something goes wrong? This sort of being afraid of the unknown is universal. I have it all the time. So then I started to think, well, the pigeon is a lot like me. What would be the thing that the pigeon would be freaked out about? What would be the thing that the pigeon didn't understand yet and was trying to figure out? And then it became school. So the way to write a book is not to just take a character and a thing and mush them together. It's to think about what is interesting to you, what scares you, what makes you happy, what makes you jealous, what scares you is usually a good idea for a book. The pigeon is the only character that I created that I don't know where he came from. He just one day showed up in one of my notebooks. I took a month off and I got a little cabin and I was trying to create the greatest picture book ever. And I wrote every day and I wrote every night. And one day the pigeon popped into one of my notebooks and said, don't write about that. Write about me. These ideas are terrible. And I didn't believe the pigeon. I mean, where does this little doodle think that he knows more than all these ideas that I've been working on? But eventually I listened to the pigeon. I said, you know what? I'm going to put you in a tiny little story just to get rid of you. So I made a small sketchbook that I gave to clients and friends one year for Christmas. And everyone who read it said, that's a story. And so in the end, the pigeon won. The pigeon is the star of the first book that I ever had published. And the pigeon hates it when I make books that are not about him. So he sneaks into every one of my other books. A matter of fact, the pigeon has snuck into animated TV series that I did before I was even published. He has been around for a long time trying to become a star.
If you think you would like some of Mo Willems' books about maybe Elephant and Piggy or the pigeon, we have some in the library. Right now, I believe you can go online to the Cape May County Library and see some of these stories. You may also be able just to see some on different YouTube videos, or maybe Google some different websites that would show some of his stories.